There we go.
And we're live. Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? It's your man J Kev and Leif Taylor here.
What's up, everybody?
Just having our frequent weekly transparent conversation about all things health, wealth, relationships, happiness, current events, everything in between. J Kev is on fumes. I'm just now seeing the title come up. So we're going to
But
talk
you
about
told me
J
to be
Kev.
transparent, right?
Man, there's transparent and then there's like transparent, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, well, being transparent is part of being vulnerable, I guess, and being vulnerable is one of those things that when you do it, when you allow yourself to do it, it helps you be more free and more liberated. Is that right? Is that a right way of saying it? When you're
Yeah,
transparent and you
I can see
become
that.
vulnerable, it helps you being with living a more free and liberated life, meaning more free to be who you are uh, at your deepest part of yourself.
Yep.
There's many layers to us, and sometimes we all have to wear a mask under the mask that we're required to wear. In these times, and sometimes um, we can get a little weary wearing the mask that we have. So learn how to be transparent and vulnerable is definitely part of a leveled up life, according to man, I forgot her name. I just watched. Reason why I'm going this way, I just watched a speech or a talk that the woman Renee Brown. You know what I'm talking about? Renee
No,
Brown.
I did
Okay,
not. Not
she
offhand,
she's
yeah.
a she's a college professor and writer, and
Okay.
she's become more popular later in these times, talking about the power of vulnerability. So that's what made me think about going down that little thread. But just talking about being on fumes. How are you all doing out there? And people in live stream land, are you on fumes? And if you are, what are you doing to kind of get through those trying times? And if you aren't, do you have some suggestions for getting through those times where you just don't feel like you have the wherewithal to get through and to get to and to get through some of those plateaus and some of those goals and designations that you have in your life. So talking about ways to get over that feeling of having fumes. One of them is to take breaks. And today I'm taking a break, Leif. Today's my birthday. Yay.
Oh, okay.
And yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah.
You're older.
So as part of that celebration, I guess I am kind of
See, obviously, I didn't know that.
yeah. No, it's all good. I don't really put that out there unless you investigate my Facebook profile or something like that. Then you might
Gotcha,
know.
gotcha.
But I understand where I'm at on your list of priorities and
Yeah,
profile
it's very low,
concerns.
bro. It's very low.
Uh, some ways of getting through fumes life. Number one, good food. Number
Yep.
two, exercise. Number three, supplement. Number four, implementing proactive practices like um, massage therapy, music therapy, just sleep. These are things of ways of being proactive. Um, then also reducing toxicity in your life can help,
Yeah,
and
that's huge.
it is very huge. It's something we talk about here and there, but I don't think we really go into depth with that and all the ways and facets that we can examine that. Reducing toxicity can be everything from what you actually eat to the things that you consume as far as what you watch, what you listen to, the people that you're around that you allow that influence you whether you allow it or not.
Yep.
We're human beings and we're open and we are walking receivers. So we're always being influenced while we're influencing others. So making sure that the messages that you send out and receive, you want to make sure they're as pure and as authentic and as true as you possibly can. You know, so that goes a long way with when it comes to under the banner of reducing toxicity. Even when I think about that, I'm thinking about even in the natural sense when it comes to your food, your water, your drink, even the utensils you cook with. Just
Yeah.
everything. So reducing toxicity is very big when it comes to reducing the load that could affect your energy levels, that could affect, you know, whether you feel like you got a full tank or whether you feel like you're running on fumes sometimes. And then also relationships, Leif, and then also just thinking about and keeping at the forefront of your mind your purpose, your reason for being.
Yep.
When you lose track of that, that can definitely be something that could weigh on you as a person to whether you feel like you're really accomplishing anything or whether you feel like you're spinning your wheels or maybe feel like you're in a rut or just maybe feel like you don't have just the that you need to the of life. So
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, just realizing your purpose that can help you uh, get that energy back, that passion, that zeal for life back.
Yeah. Two things that you said, because I was actually thinking about this earlier.
Hmm.
One is, I'm always thinking of just weird stuff. Is, I was wondering if there's a way to actually measure the energy of your body. Meaning, like, so if I take in 2,000 calories, how much of that 2,000 calories am I actually utilizing? I was thinking about this from the standpoint of, uh, how you have like restricted caloric intake diets and things like that, and
Yeah,
finding the right balance of the actual calories you need versus overconsumption. If there's a way to adequately find that, so in other words, you reduce your waste output as well as your food consumption. Oh, he's looking for his kids.
yeah. I might have to get up and walk for a minute. Is that all right?
Nah, it's cool. Where y'all at?
But yeah, you talking about calorie intake and measurement,
Yep,
and
yep.
what? So is that something you're interested in trying to do?
Yeah, I was just interested in it. I was thinking, like, because before you even talking about, like, energy and how, running on fumes and things like that, I was thinking about, like, figuring out if there's a way that you could, outside of journaling. I don't know, what exists in that field anymore. I've not been a part of that field for so many years. But I was just thinking about, how do you get peak energy and how do you adequately measure it? And I'm not talking about like body output in terms of performance. I'm talking
Yeah,
about just on a day-to-day basis. How many calories can you eat at a minimum to hit your highest energy threshold without over consuming?
yeah. It's time to go.
Like, get in.
Huh?
So that was one of the things on my mind. And then also going back to when you mentioned, like getting rid of toxicity. One of the ways to do that is correct your own thoughts. Most of the toxicity, well, not most of, but a lot of the toxicity people take in is actually generated from their own thoughts and the way they think about themselves and the way they think about just a variety of things throughout the day. Uh,
Yeah,
I was watching a TEDx earlier this week. I don't know which day because all the days seem the same. Uh, and he was talking about like two ways to basically address the thoughts that are in your head. And actually, it's with two questions, and I actually wrote them down. Is one of the thoughts is, are my thoughts useful? So whenever you have any kind of thoughts that run through your head, you question the thought on whether or not it's useful or not. So, when you get in the doldrum, so to speak, and you're not thinking highly of yourself, or maybe you are, maybe you're just thinking negatively or whatever it is you're thinking about, you question the thought and whether or not it's useful. And if it's something useful, then the next question is, how do they behave? And so is really just the talk was about, like, all the different thoughts that circulate through your mind, and the negativity sometimes you put on yourself. But he figured out that asking himself those specific questions helps calm the inner dialogue, and not only that, it makes it less pressuring, so to speak, or
Huh.
less toxic for because sometimes people will down themselves to the point of depression, and for him, he found that it actually worked in eliminating uh, just the negative self talk.
Yeah, the negative self-talk that could be a, big one for a lot of people. Just me in general. I know in the past I've had to figure out ways and use tactics to kind of get around that, and that just realizing that when you have a lot of negative self-talk, it's it's a hard way to start out each day and just start out, just living life.
Yeah, it can be a demotivator for sure.
Definitely. And your thoughts, what you think affects how you feel, and then how you feel that affects that has physiological effects. It can affect, your body too. So that's another thing when it comes, again, talking about toxicity and toxic thoughts, how it
Yep.
can affect, give you toxic emotions and then affect you negatively when it comes to your energy levels and fumes and stuff. So,
Yep.
man.
And also just in light of just recent times and
Oh, yeah,
uh,
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
just one of the thoughts that been talking about, and I think I figured out an effective way for myself in terms of making sure that we're talking about toxicity. Make sure that you limit, if not eliminate altogether, social media.
Man.
And that's one of the ways to really control your thoughts. I know for me, I find myself utilizing social media less and less. I'm still probably a power user compared to most people because
Yeah.
I'm on my computer 24/7 just about. If I'm awake, I'm on my computer in some form or fashion. But I notice that when I stay away for like I've limited my time to maximum maybe an hour or two a day. I know still sounds like a lot, but when you think of how much I'm on the computer, it's a thing. And I noticed that I just I feel a lot better. I don't worry about the concerns of what everybody else is concerned about. I don't get inflamed. I don't get yeah, I just stay in my chill spot to where I can still work, I can still function. My family life is great and all those kinds of things. So when I come on social media and I see hellfire and brimstone, it's almost like a paradox for me, right? It's
Yeah,
like
you're like, what's going on out
yeah,
here?
it's like
People
really
throwing pics. Yeah.
yeah, it's like this is happening, and but again, it really just boils down to what you think and what you focus on. And this is not to say that things don't go wrong outside of your own thoughts, or
Right.
things don't go wrong in the world and all of this kind of stuff. But it definitely affects the quality of your life. It
Yeah.
affects the cortisone release in your life, the cortisol that was released in your body, and it just I don't know, it just changes it. You just find yourself less angry. Uh,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It changes your perspective, and it helps keep you in a state of peace. Peace in the midst of a lot of storms.
Agree,
Um,
Graham.
yeah. Yeah. It helps keeps you calm and not chill, not to the point of your detriment, but to the point of you can stay level
Yep.
in unstable and chaotic times, which is a superpower in the midst of those times. You know, some people were born for chaotic times, and some people aren't good to deal with them. So we all have the ability to cultivate, that skill, that level of maturity, I guess you could say, as far as learning how to deal with chaotic and panicked times, and cultivate calm and collectedness about us.
Yeah.
Man,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, what you're saying is resonating because I was thinking the same thoughts as far as getting off, limiting my social media time and just, getting back into find a way to get back into the flow state, the flow state
Yeah.
of when you're doing something and you lose perspective of time and you're just in your happy place,
Yep.
just doing your thing, carrying out your task.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing for myself. And even just going back to the perspective of chaotic times, just think there are people that live for years in war torn countries,
Oh
and
my,
they go
yes,
about their day to day. Like
yes,
it's like, okay, there's shooting outside. There's we take cover, but we still got to finish the day, right? And so just thinking about people that go through those kinds of things, and just really looking at the perspective of life, and uh, even no matter how frustrated or angry you get, the old idiom, things could always be worse kind of thing, right?
yeah,
But again, everything just requires proper perspective. Be serious when it's necessary to be serious, laugh when it's necessary to laugh, and really take a step back. Sometimes we get too involved in our own lives, and that we don't take a step back to look at it from an overview perspective. And what I mean by that is like it's like when people argue, right? You get caught up in the heat of the moment instead of taking a step back and be like, okay, why are we arguing again?
it's just yeah,
Like, what's the point of this? What's the outcome? What's all of this going on? So you have to be wise, use wisdom, because at the end of the day, yeah, it affects your mental health, which affects your life,
yeah,
and you want to be very guarded about that. You want to be very guarded about your mental health. One of the things that I say quite frequently, the fact that you're an adult means you have the ability to walk away. As a kid, you really don't have, you don't have say so on, when you tell your kids to go in the house, they just got to go in the house, right? But as an adult, it's like, okay, I don't have to be here. I don't have to argue. I don't have to do any of this. And you can just avoid it. So you can avoid the stress. You can avoid a whole lot of things. Not all things are unavoidable or
right,
are avoidable. However, the majority of things in life really are. They really, truly are. And, it's up to you to use wisdom and discernment, but just make sure that you don't find yourself in the folly of just negative talk, period, whether it be self-talk, whether it be negative thoughts about other people, all of that. uh, all of those things affect your well-being, and so you want to be very sure that you're guarding your thought process in terms of the way it affects your health.
okay. Now I hear it. Just thinking about what you're saying, and the thought of guard your heart.
Yeah.
Out of which uh, guarding your heart, meaning placing up boundaries around your heart,
Yep.
given that the heart is the seat of, consider the seat of the emotions. And just one thing it keeps coming, always comes up whenever I think about the heart, and that I heard it said that there's more information going from the heart to the brain than it is from the brain to the heart.
Yep.
Just and then I've heard other people talk about how the heart is the seat of the emotions, and our emotions is the dial on how we experience life. If we don't have emotions, then we were kind of like Spock, on Star Trek. He's
Yeah,
just
you less than
going
that.
through life. Yeah. So it's good to have emotions. We just have to, have boundaries around our heart and what we take in, and we have to have exercise, I guess, like you said, maturity and wisdom over um, how our emotions flow and how our heart is.
Yep.
Yeah,
Pretty
man.
much.
Just thinking about this negative, toxic information. I was thinking about news limitation and stuff like that,
Yeah,
limiting the
all of that.
news.
All of it. Conversations,
Yeah,
just a whole lot of things. Because again, even when you think about the most problematic situations, and this is just my train of thought and the way I think about things, it's I always feel it's much more vital to put in the effort of work than it is to discuss how bad something in particular is like put in the necessary work to make it happen, because it's just like meetings. I'm not a big fan of meetings.
Yep.
Although I'll take like initial meetings. Of course, you gotta figure out what the game plan is and all of that. Those things are very necessary. But meetings in between work, if it's not an update on what the work is, then it's a waste of time, kind of stuff for me.
Mhm.
That's just me. But yeah, it's just again, it's just we're talking about energy and fumes earlier, and just making sure that you guard that stuff. If I have a limited amount of energy throughout the day, I want to make sure that I regulate it for the right moments of time. I don't
Yeah.
want to give energy to the things that are to my detriment. I'd rather focus my energy on the things that'll be to my uplifting or the uplifting of somebody else. And so again, just going back to guarding your heart, guarding your mind, guarding the things that you take in, guarding the information, all of that stuff. All of that stuff is inclusive, and it affects you in a variety of ways. And sometimes you're not even aware of it if you don't take a step back. Even
I like
through your
this.
entertainment, it's probably more seductive and more deceptive than the news itself. So be very careful with that. Be very careful of the things you take credence to, and not only that, but we've talked about it in times past. Make sure that your thoughts are your own and not somebody putting them there for you. It's kind of one of those things where you having a good day and then somebody comes in and they tell you some information and just changes your whole mood for the day, and it's like, why did the information affect you in such a way? Why did it move you from one emotional outcome to another one? Was just it's for you to analyze. It's for you to really take a step back. Maybe journal, figure out why it is you operate the way you do. Figure out why you tick the way you tick, and the more you get control over that, the less you'll be manipulated by any outside source. I'll put it that way. So just make sure that again you take time, take a step back. Life is about perspective. It's about a whole lot of stuff, but perspective is a very key value of that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, make sure that you get around people that uplift you, in a good way. And I'm not talking about like false hype and things like that. People will hype you up just to make you the fall
Just to
guy,
do the
right?
wrong thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I've seen that happen. There's one dude, he got beat up by Slick because he got hyped in the wrong way. And so you definitely don't want to get hyped up in the wrong way, but you want to, just get built up and make sure that you're building others up in an outcome that's beneficial for everybody. So,
Yeah. Get hyped up in a way that helps you be an asset and serve and
yeah,
be of service. You know,
I've seen
not
people take L's by getting hyped up in the wrong way.
to man.
But
But yeah,
that's
man,
all I
you
got, bro.
said,
Oh, go ahead.
huh?
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say you said some key things.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, man, I forgot. I'm off track now.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Hey, so did we get any comments? Anybody out there?
No, just Graham made a comment earlier. Just he said yes.
Moderation.
Yeah, I don't know what yes was about. So there's no context to it, so you can't go back in time like, what was this
Yeah.
yes about? But yeah, man, just enjoying life, just really thinking about just everything in general. I take in a ton of information on a daily basis. I know you do as well,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
processing that information, and I know for me, it's like, okay, when I analyze the information I take in, I think about, it's like, okay, how does this affect me? How do I think about it? Is it beneficial? Is it worth even
Useful.
taking in? Yeah, is it useful? Is pretty much goes back to the questions I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
and it's like, if it's of no use, then okay, I can eliminate this information going forward, right? It's like a binary yes, no. Okay, there's a yes for this, there's a no for this, and it goes the same for people. If people, you come in contact with people that aren't beneficial for you, and I don't mean in a usury way, but I'm just talking about just if they bring a toxic kind of, you know what I mean, just
Yep.
something, we had a rule when we worked, it was called the no a-hole rule, right?
Yeah.
You don't if you're somebody that's a persistent jerk, then your time is limited in my life. And so it's that kind of way that I take in information and the way I evaluate it. Uh, and it just makes life more useful. It's like, just get rid of the stuff that's not healthy for you. It's like a diet. It literally is. It's a communication diet. If it's it's making you sick and and ill, then you need to get rid of it and bring in some nutrients, right? And good people and love and all of that stuff. Those are good nutrients to have in your life. So
Man, yeah, and now you're hitting it, just going back to toxicity and fumes, and going back to one of the things being consumption and good pure food in all sorts of ways. And when you
yep.
said you think of food as like vitamins and stuff as far as nutrients, but then when you talked about love, joy, happiness, that's good emotional
Oh
nutrients.
yeah,
That's good nutrients too.
how fruit, right?
Yeah. So filling your plate of life up with that as much as you can. There's always going to be somebody grabbing at your plate and taking, and so you just got to continually be getting out the good stuff while life tries
Yeah,
to debo you.
exactly. It's like toxic people can be like cake, right? It's good when it when it appeases you, but after a while it starts making you sick.
You're sick.
And
It's like,
that's
look at
negative
my life.
consequences.
Why does my
Exactly.
life look like this?
Exactly. So,
Well,
so
I am
yeah.
the common denominator of my life, so maybe
Yeah, I know. It's like,
maybe
if
it's
all
not
your
them, maybe
relationships
it's
end up
me.
like this, then you're the one person that's constant in all of that, right?
But we don't want to talk about that.
What you say?
So, but we don't want to talk about that.
But yeah, man. So yeah, that's all I got.
Yep.
I ain't trying to keep you too long. And they got
Oh
the
yeah. Just having an open, honest conversation about my fumes, being changed energy level, and just having the mindset of just celebrating. I mean, for me, I'm just thinking about the times that we're in. The holiday is coming up. A lot of people are thinking about freedom and liberty, and just hopefully this is a pause for a lot of people to kind of just take a break for a moment amidst all the craziness and stuff that's going on in today's world. So hopefully, Two Shot Guys in the Mic, this place provided always provides some space of a relief for a moment of something, inspiration, motivation, inspired to aspire, aspire to be inspired. A place to where you can just come in and take a break and hopefully recharge a little bit, feel rejuvenated, and
yep.
get back out there on the field or in the cage, wherever you may find yourself. Octagon, I don't know. But Two Shot Guys to the Mic, Leif Taylor and J Kev.
All right. Peace out, everybody. Guard your children, just like
Man,
Kev. Real talk.
real
Later.
talk.